Chapter 8, Part 3. Maya had put on her dressing gown and crept down the corridor to Miss Minton's room. She had brought her hairbrush, but the 100 strokes were just an excuse. She was perfectly capable of brushing her own hair. But where can he have gone, Minty? The actors aren't here anymore and he doesn't know anyone else in Manhouse. I'm so worried about him. He won't come to any harm, said Miss Minton, brushing steadily. He's quite a sensible boy, really. But Maya could not see it like that. When Miss Minton had taken Clovis to the empty hut, it was with the idea of keeping him safe until she could make other arrangements for him. She was sure now that Mr. Carter had never sent the cable to Mr. Murray, and she had hoped to ask Sergei's family to take Clovis in for a while. The Kaminskys were well known for their hospitality, and in the end, surely the British consul would do something for the boy. But the Kaminskys had gone to visit one of their farms in the north, and had been forced to hide Clovis for a second night, and now the boy had vanished. The next day was a Sunday. On one Sunday in the month, an English vicar came out to conduct a service in the next village upriver from the Carter's house. Mrs. Carter liked church. The twins in their pretty dresses were always admired. She heard other English voices. In England, they sometimes had been allowed to join Lady Parsons in her pew. She had expected Maya to accompany them, but the girl looked peaked and wretched, and she had been sick in the night. Mr. Carter did not like people being sick. I hope it's not infectious, she said to Miss Minton, who shook her head. She knew exactly why Maya had been sick. She was worried about Clovis. She had been sick after she'd come across an Indian being flogged on Mr. Carter's orders. I think she needs a quiet morning by herself, said Miss Minton, who was told it was her duty to accompany the twins. We don't want people saying we can't afford a governess, said Mr. Carter to her husband. So the family disappeared upriver to the launch. Maya noticed that it was not Furrow who came steering the boat, but it was not until Furrow came himself and beckoned to her that she allowed herself to hope. Come, he said, as he had done the first time, and Maya got up quickly and followed him. Her sickness had gone. She felt hopeful and excited. If this was a summons from Finn, perhaps he would know what to do. This time she had not been asked to put on a blindfold, and at this sign of trust her spirits rose still further. When they came to the green wall, she could make out the opening, now that she knew it was there. It wasn't much more than a change in the colour of the green as the rushes took over from the undergrowth. She closed her eyes to protect them against the branches, and then they were through, and she was in the lagoon again. Even before she saw Finn, she felt as though she was coming home. The dog wagged his tail, properly this time. Nothing too gushing, he was not that kind of dog, but he remembered her. She jumped onto the jetty. Finn's hair was coal black, as it had been the first time she saw him, and he wore his headband. He was in his Indian guise again. But he looked relaxed and untroubled, and when she thought of the crows, she found herself shivering. They've been at the Carters, she said. The crows. I know, Finn replied. Of course he would know. He knew everything. And you've lost your little friend, he said, grinning. Furrow paddled back to the entrance, and Maya followed Finn into the hut. He had a bowl of fruit on the table, avocados, prickly pears, nuts, a melon. Her mouth watered, but she turned her head away, angry with Finn for speaking so carelessly of Clovis. Yes, I'm so worried about him. He came and the twins jeered at him and Miss Carter said that he had to go back. But when the actors had gone, we hid him in the store hut. We? Asked Finn. Well, Miss Minton, really. But I was so upset that she told me what she'd done. I thought I'd get Mr. Murray to pay his fare, but he hasn't. Then the crows came and they made us open the door. They thought it was you we were hiding. And he'd gone. Vanished. He'll be all right, said Finn. His casual tone annoyed Maya. That's what Miss Minton says. But why will he be all right? He's got nowhere to sleep and no money. Thinking about Clovis and how she had let him down had brought tears to her eyes, and she brushed them away angrily. Clovis was her responsibility, not Finn's. Finn had troubles enough of his own. But Finn had seen her distress. Come and see the Arabella, he said. I've cleaned the funnel. Walk carefully, there's some wet paint. She followed him onto the little launch. Have a look under the awning, said Finn, but don't make a noise. She moved quietly forward. What strange animal had Finn brought aboard and tamed? Someone lay sprawled on the deck. He lay on his back, his limbs were thrown out loosely. He was so still that he might have been dead. But he wasn't. He was deeply asleep. So asleep that even when Maya bent over, he did not even stir. He'll sleep for a bit, said Finn. I gave him something. He's a nice boy, but you're right, he does cry a lot. You mean you've drugged him? Maya was shocked. It's only Masahara leaves, said Finn. Old Lila used to give them to me in a drink. It's quite harmless. But Maya was not altogether pleased. You seem to know a lot about herbs and medicines. And dyes, she added, looking at Finn's hair. The Indians taught my father, he responded, and he taught me. It's how we lived partly, finding new medicines. They went back and sat on the jetty, and he explained what they had done. Furo told me that the crows were on their way, and he told me about Clovis being in the hut. He thought you'd get into awful trouble from the carter, so I fetched him away in the night. The dog lay quietly between them. 2 swallowtail butterflies chased each other over the lotus leaves. Actually, Finn went on, I've got an idea. I told you, but I'll explain when I've wakened Clovis. He looked up at the sun. He'll be awake in about half an hour. Better make some tea and serve it nicely. Clovis likes things properly done. Teacups with sauces and no bugs on the bread and butter. Finn was right. Clovis woke up in exactly half an hour, looking refreshed and well. He too liked the hut. I wouldn't mind living in a place like this, he said, helping himself to a biscuit. Well, that's a good thing, said Finn, because you're going to, for a few days, till just before the bishop sails. Clovis looked up, his eyes full of bewilderment. I'll explain, said Finn. I thought, you see, that you could take my place. The crows don't know what you look like, and they don't know what I look like. If Maya will do what I ask her, I think it could be done. Then you'll get safely to England and I'll get away. Maya stared at him. But you can't. You can't send Clovis back to a prison. Finn was bent over the dog, steadily scratching the space between his ears. I think it's time I told you about Westwood, he said.